What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, June 17th, 2024, and I have another emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:55 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe. But before I get into that, I want to just show you guys what we have going on over the United States right now. We currently have 4 U.S. B-52 nuclear bombers airborne over the southern United States. This is extremely unusual. I've actually never seen 4 B-52s up in the air at the same time over the U.S. for as long as I've been tracking flights, which has been a few years now. We have one over Missouri, we have one over Louisiana, we have one over Western Texas, and we have one over Oklahoma. So U.S. nuclear forces are on very high alert. And last night and this morning, we've had a massive amount of sub-Hunter planes flying down to Havana. Right now, we have a P-8 Poseidon sub-Hunter flying right off the coast of Havana, Cuba, where the Russian warships and the Russian sub have docked. So this is very, very concerning. And we also had another sub hunter go down to the Bahamas and come back up to Jacksonville. And then we have another one far offshore from Jacksonville over here. Okay, so the U.S. is very concerned about these warships and subs in Havana. And last night we had like 4 sub-Hunter planes. We had 3 U.S. P-8 Poseidons, and we even had a Canadian CP-140 Aurora. Now, that really caught my attention because the CP-140 Aurora planes are Canada's best and only sub-Hunter plane, and they're primarily used for NORAD to track nuclear armed subs off the eastern and western coasts of North America. And so they're critical to the defense of North America in a nuclear war. So for them to deploy one of these to Cuba means that this is something very, very serious. If they're taking that Aurora away from its normal job of patrolling the east and west coast of North America for Russian nuclear armed subs and bringing one of them down to Cuba, that means that it's very serious, guys. Okay, you hardly ever see a CP-140 Aurora on flight radar. They fly with their transponders off all the time simply because of the sensitive nature of their mission. Guys, gold has been on an unstoppable run. It has gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years and almost 20% in the last 12 months. It is happening. Central banks are ditching the dollar and U.S. treasuries and buying more gold. The good news is that it's predicted to go up even more. UBS even said it would go up to $5,000 an ounce. Noble Gold Investments phone has been ringing nonstop. Everyone wants to protect their retirement with gold, and you can do the same. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure some gold to protect your future. From day one, you will work with the same dedicated all-American expert. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, Noble Gold Investments will make sure you get all the help you need. And this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below and in the comments. Check them out. Get that free quarter-ounce gold coin. And here you can see one with a P-8 Poseidon trailing it. Very concerning. And then we had 3 P-8 Poseidons trailing each other last night, all going down to Havana and then going back up to Jacksonville. That's their home base, okay? But this is very, very serious, guys. All going down to Havana like clockwork. And now we have another one down there. Okay, so this is extremely serious, guys. I'm going to continue to monitor the situation. We also had a lot of activity over Poland and the Baltic Sea last night. Again, here we have a sub hunter that was flying over the western Baltic Sea near the Danish Straits, and it was flying really low. And then here we have a NATO AWACS plane that was flying in southern Sweden. We had the P-8 Poseidon looping over the Baltic Sea. And then we had a U.S. reconnaissance plane flying offshore of Kaliningrad. So, very serious situation here in the Baltic Sea. And a couple of days ago, the Russians sent a fighter jet into the Gotland Island and violated Sweden's airspace over there. So we have some major breaking news coming from NATO. Apparently, NATO is in talks to develop more nuclear weapons by bringing them out of storage and into readiness in the face of the growing threat from Russia and China. The head of the alliance, Jens Stoltenberg, told the British newspaper The Telegraph. He said there will be consultations among the members of the alliance for transparency around the use of their nuclear arsenal as a deterrent. I won't go into operational details about how many nuclear warheads should be on standby and how many should be stored, but we have to proceed with consultations on these issues. This is exactly what we are doing, he told the newspaper. Transparency helps to communicate the immediate message that we are, of course, a nuclear alliance. NATO's goal is a world without nuclear weapons, but as long as nuclear weapons exist, we will remain a nuclear alliance, because a world where Russia, China, and North Korea have nuclear weapons and NATO does not is a more dangerous world, he commented. As Stoltenberg said last week, nuclear weapons are NATO's ultimate security guarantee and a means of keeping the peace. Stoltenberg recalled that China is actively investing in its nuclear arsenal, which, according to him, will increase to 1,000 warheads by the early 2030s. And that means that in the not too distant future, NATO will likely face something it has never faced before: two potential adversaries with nuclear weapons, China and Russia. And of course, this has consequences, said the General Secretary of the alliance. He also spoke of transparency in NATO's nuclear strategy, noting that it should become the cornerstone of its deterrence policy. The Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the NATO Secretary General's comments appeared to contradict the joint communique of the Ukraine Peace Conference that any threat or use of nuclear weapons in the context of the war in Ukraine is unacceptable. This is nothing more than another escalation of tension, Peskov commented on Stoltenberg's statements. Regarding the Ukraine Peace Conference hosted by Switzerland, Peskov commented that it had negligible results and showed how futile the talks are without Russia's participation. The results of the conference are almost zero, he said characteristically. Russia remains open to dialogue with all countries that intend to do so and will continue to communicate its position to those countries, Peskov said. So this is very serious, guys, okay? The Secretary General of NATO is saying that NATO is going to be bringing more nuclear weapons out of storage and deploying them. Basically, he's going to be asking members of the NATO alliance who are nuclear armed to commit more of their warheads to the NATO nuclear sharing mission. We know that Poland has already requested to be a part of the nuclear sharing mission. So this is huge news, guys. We're basically going back to the 1980s. NATO had, I think, like 600 warheads deployed at one time in the early 1980s, and I think now they only have like 200 or 100 or something. I think just 100 actually, but it looks like we're going back to the 1980s, guys. And all of these countries in Eastern Europe, and Russia included, have canceled their participation in the Conventional Forces Europe Treaty, which put limits on the number of tanks and military equipment that countries could put on their borders. Okay, so that means that Belarus and Russia can basically stockpile unlimited amounts of weapons right on the border of NATO. And Poland and NATO countries can do the same thing because Poland pulled out of the Conventional Forces Europe Treaty as well. So this is extremely serious, guys. And we have this article from the U.S. Army showing a team of Army Rangers training to disable nuclear weapons at an underground nuclear storage facility. So here we have some pictures here of these guys training to disable nuclear weapons at an underground facility. Army Rangers. Nuclear disablement team soldiers and Army Rangers seized and exploited an underground nuclear facility during a training exercise. Nuclear Disablement Team 1 trained with Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment during operations under simulated fire at a decommissioned pulse radiation facility on June the 6th. Major Aaron J. Heffelfinger, the team chief for Nuclear Disablement Team 1, said the facility was an optimal training site. The training location challenges the force for planning, execution, and especially communications, said Heffelfinger. Being a former reactor site, it also has the security measures in place to make it a realistic target. The nuclear disablement teams are part of the 20th Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear Explosives Command, the U.S. military's premier CBRN formation. From 19 bases in 16 states, soldiers and Army civilians from the 20th CBRN Command confront and defeat the world's most dangerous hazards in support of joint interagency and multinational operations. In addition to the highly trained and deployable nuclear disablement teams, the Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland headquartered 20th CBRN Command is home to 75% of the active duty U.S. Army explosive ordnance disposal technicians and CBRN specialists. So basically, they train to disable nuclear weapons at some simulated facility. And to me, this is clearly preparation for deployment into potentially Iran or North Korea. Okay, so this is extremely concerning. Wanted to just share this with you guys. It looks like something out of Call of Duty. And Ukrainian forces have liberated the town of Vovchansk in Kharkiv Oblast. Here we have a video of them tearing down the Russian flag that was put up over there and putting up their own flag. And so Vovchansk is a critical town or city in the Kharkiv Oblast close to the Russian border. They've been fighting for it for a very long time, and now they have captured it. So this is huge news, guys. Okay. So it looks like the Russian offensive in Kharkiv is starting to fail. We'll have to wait and see if they can continue to hold some of the territory they still have. But this is huge news, guys. The Ukrainians liberating Vovchansk. And Russia's Gazprom stock is still at its lowest level since 2008, since November 2008. So this is very, very serious, guys. The Gazprom is a state-owned gas and oil company in Russia. And if this company collapses, that could be a sign of a Russian economic collapse because we know Russia is dependent on their oil and gas for their economy to function properly. Okay, so if they're not making money on oil and gas, then that's very, very bad. And if Gazprom is doing bad, then that's a sign that something is big is about to happen. And we currently have two tropical disturbances in the Atlantic Basin to worry about. We may have our first tropical system of the season this week. We have this disturbance off the coast of Mexico that has a 70% chance of development, and it could turn into a tropical depression or tropical storm somewhere off the coast of Texas in the coming days. And then we also have a disturbance out here north of Puerto Rico with a 30% chance of development, and conditions are favorable for continued development of this disturbance. Okay, so I told you guys this hurricane season would be one of the most active we've had in several years. We're going back into a strong La Nina. La Ninas favor landfalling hurricanes along the eastern seaboard. So you need to be ready if you live anywhere from Texas to Florida and on up to Maine and the Canadian Maritimes, because we're going to see a lot of strong landfalling hurricanes this season. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until later on, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has all kinds of prepping and survival products, from potassium iodide to emergency food to water purification, solar generators, everything you can imagine in their general store. And they have special discounts set up just for you, the viewers of NYPrepper. And to get those discounts, you got to use my link, preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. And once you get to that site, you got to look for the My Patriot Supply logo. You click on that logo and it'll take you to their general store. And right now, they're actually doing a $50 discount on the Grid Doctor solar generator. But they have all kinds of discounts here on emergency food, water filters, bug out bag items, potassium iodide. They're actually selling potassium iodide for $10 a bottle with 60 pills in each bottle. That is such a good deal, guys. Normal price, $25 a bottle. So you get yourself a few of those bottles and you have enough potassium iodide for several families. So use the link, preparewithnyprepper.com. And remember, when you get to that page, click on the My Patriot Supply logo to access the general store with all of the discounts.